Okay, I want to give you 7 deadly dating mistakes that a lot of women make when it comes to the first date. This is all from a man's perspective, right? So there are some very common errors in the dating dynamics that I see, that I've observed in terms of the first impression that we put out there, in terms of building that connection. And the man's view and understanding the male psychology behind it is going to be so helpful for you to better understand how can you avoid making these mistakes. So the first one is overly sharing some personal details. Why is this a problem? Because one, you want to keep a little bit of a mystery alive. If this man knows everything of you straight away, then there's nothing to explore for him anymore. And number two, why this is probably even more important not to share too much too early, especially about the things that you really like, desire, and love. Because he's gonna make some mental notes like, okay, she likes this, she likes this, she likes this. Like, okay, cool, yeah, okay. So flowers, some cupcakes here, maybe some quality time there. Okay, cool. She loves doing this, not this. I'm like, okay, perfect, done. Over the next few weeks, you're gonna get all of this. He's gonna do everything and anything that's on that list that you've basically already given to him. So you gave him the key to your heart, the key to the treasure trove of who you are. You just need to open the trove, and all of a sudden, it's all there right in front of him. He gets it all. And you think like, wow, what an amazing man. He knows me so well. He does all the things right, and so on and so forth. Because you've told him so. So if he does and says these things and acts in alignment with these things that you told him, then clearly you're gonna fall in love with him. You're gonna fall in love with him way too fast and way too quickly. So don't overshare. Which brings me to today's sponsor. If you're stuck, lost, or confused when it comes to your relationship with men, and you don't know how to communicate your needs to him in a way that makes you feel seen, loved, and heard, then you must see this. Since every woman's personality and circumstance is so unique and so special to you, we have a free relationship assessment quiz that you can take in the link below. That quiz will give you a customizable action plan to give you the love that you deserve, because you're worthy of it and you do deserve it so, so much. So take our free relationship assessment quiz right now, and now back to the video. The second big mistake is you just keep talking about your ex. Look, your ex is your ex for a reason. And if you bring it up on the conversation straight away, that's such a huge flag for most men. So prevent yourself from the discomfort or the maybe quite uncomfortable and confronting conversation that happens where during the time where you just see each other for the first date, or the second or third, and you kind of should have the most amazing time getting to know each other, and yet here we are, you're talking about your past with your ex. Nothing that any man really loves and enjoys. And on top of it, you can make it even worse if you start comparing this man to how amazing he is here, or how bad he was there, and how this and that, and maybe even compare it to him. It's like, oh, you look kind of the same, you kind of, it's the same style. Do yourself a favor, don't do that. The third one is if you try too hard to illustrate to him how good of a woman you are. And I'm not necessarily just talking about your accomplishments. I've done this, I have this, and I have these my goals, and and all of this I've already reached, and I'm such an amazing woman. Typical stuff that a man kind of wants to hear in that moment potentially, and you're overly wanting to show is I'm great at all of these things. That's a problem. But then also being overly sexy dressed on the first date. That's a problem too, because the same way how women have a friend zone, and there's a lot of men that you would put in a friend zone because you look at this man, yeah, he's nice, he's kind, but I don't feel sexually attracted to him, or he doesn't have certain other traits that are really important to you, but he's still good to have around, so friend zone. The same way how you guys have a friend zone, men have a sex zone. So that means if you're overly sexy, if you dress in the hottest, most beautiful way, and he's like, wow, this is yeah, of course he's gonna like this in the moment. But then he's also gonna ask him, does she show up like this to every other first date she goes to? So you wanna make sure you look elegant, you look great, you look beautiful. Absolutely, you can dress up a little bit, but just don't go too sexy. This is something you wanna keep for later. He doesn't need to get it all straight away. And again, you wanna make sure he doesn't put you in the sex zone straight away. I'm gonna go into this in a different point, in a different way, but just keep that in mind, that categorization that you guys have with men, friend zone, or maybe not, the same way men have that too, but instead of a friend zone, it's a sex zone. The fourth big mistake is you being way too critical and way too negative. You know, a first date is supposed to be fun and lighthearted and joyful and amazing and positive. But if you're complaining about this and your boss here and the weather there and like your shoes here and like whatever else it may be, if there's just negativity that you have, is like, you know what happens if someone is like very negative around you. You don't want to be around them. You don't want to spend time with them. And if you're overly critical, it's like, you don't like this, and like, oh, this is not well cooked, and like, oh, that drink is not really that nice, I want something else. And it's just constantly this type of state and energy, then he's like, that's not really joyful to me. That's not something that I want in my partner, that just everything and anything is constantly like negative and dragging and exhausting. And I'd rather be on my own than dealing with that negativity on top of all the other challenges that I'm facing all day, every day anyway. So be very, very careful to have a positive demeanor, to have a positive, lighthearted, joyful attitude, because that's what's really going to impress him the most. The fifth mistake, and I want to come back to categorization of the sex zone versus the friend zone. If you're going to have sex with him way too early, and maybe you're going to have sex with him on the first night, that very often puts you into the sex zone straight away. He might still engage with you. He might go more on dates with you. He might like have a little bit of a fling and a romance. But if a woman allows that man to have sex with him straight away, then there's a very high chance that he's going to question himself, like, how often does she do this with other men too? Is this really the type of mother of my children, partner, long-term committed relationship that I want with a woman, where it's so easy to get her most sacred, most beautiful, most intimate space that she has? She gives it away so quickly to me. Yes, I'm going to say yes to it, because most men would, because it's not that easy for us, you know? But on the flip side of things, we don't want it that easy. We don't want you to give us everything straight away. But if you do, like I said, we're going to put you in a sex zone very quickly. Another reason why you also shouldn't do this on the first date or in the first couple of dates is because you're building so much more of an emotional connection with that man after you guys have been intimate. It's different for men. You know, this is just because we're wired so differently. There's a very, very big difference in the way how we connect and build that intimacy with each other, but it's scientifically proven. If you're going to have sex with a man, the emotional bond and connection that you're going to transmit and build just happens so much just because of you being intimate with each other. And this is why we're different. So the way how you're going to look at him and the potential relationship and the dating dynamic and everything else is going to be filtered through the lens of already being more deeply emotionally engaged and connected to him than he is. The sixth point is, like, you just don't ask enough questions. You just want to talk about yourself. And obviously, men that have been through a bunch of different things, they understand that a lot of women love talking about themselves. And I don't mean this in a negative way. You're just like way more of talkers than we are. We're like, you know, much like coming to the point straight away. There's not like long stories to share necessarily. So we just allow her to talk a little bit more so she feels comfortable. And therefore, we're also making her feel good at the same time. So if that, though, becomes a thing that it's just a one-sided conversation, and there's no genuine interest and curiosity and desire to get to know the man better, because, like I said, it's a very one-sided conversation, then that's a huge mistake as well. Because men that are emotionally connected, and I guess that's the type of men that you do want, they want to feel like they're actually admired, they're actually having a level of attention from you as well, and the attention is not just on you. And a lot of men, they will give you a lot of attention regardless, but you also want to give that back to him. Otherwise, it again feels quite unbalanced, and it doesn't feel quite like, hey, we're really both generally interested in each other. It's kind of a one-way road. So share different perspectives, share your opinions, have a meaningful dialogue with that man, find out more about him, and be curious to get to know him and his thoughts and his insights and his goals and his life and everything else as well. And the seventh big mistake that is a lot of women make, they're over-idealizing that man way too quickly, way too soon. It's literally they want to step into an illusion, into a false reality, because they don't want to live in the reality anymore, because this illusion, this fairy tale type of relationship dynamic that they're already engaging in, because this man is so beautiful, he looks so good, he can talk, he has a little bit of charisma, and immediately we're falling into the conclusion, that's the man. I'm gonna be with him. He's amazing. I love him. And like, this just happens all way, way, way too fast, right? You want to focus on the investment that this man is giving you, and the way how he's literally investing in you and wanting to spend time with you, and the way how he communicates with you, and just like energetically how much he's also engaging with you, rather than living in that illusionary state of what the relationship and the life is going to look like with that man, even though you just met the first time or you're on the second date. So make sure you avoid these mistakes. And I can guarantee you the type of first date experiences that you're going to have going to be tremendously different and so much more positive. And he's going to be so much more engaged with you straight away. Not just on the first date, but also after the first date. Because the first date is just there to get to know each other a little bit better, to feel each other out a little bit more. And if that's going well, then you're literally setting the stage for future dates to come.